Welcome to Game Nights with JR. I'm JR, and this is our overview of the feature games for our game nights in January. I know we're in Texas, so we're not exactly getting a icy cold white January, but it's winter, so I figured I would choose some games that sort of at least remind me of what it's like to have snow on the ground and, be in a sweater with a mug of cocoa. So, without any further ado, let's get into our January game selection. First up is a game called Dice Miner. This is vaguely winter themed because it's like dwarves in a mountain, and it reminds me of the Mines of Moria and Lord of the Rings. And there was definitely a lot of snow on the ground before they entered the mines. Anyway, this is a really fun dice drafting game. So the sort of centerpiece of the game is this cardboard tower that is filled with dice, and as you take dice out, the dice shift in positions and all that kind of stuff. So you're rolling dice, you're drafting dice, you're trying to score points. It's a pretty simple game and it's a lot of fun. It's something you can pick up in just a few minutes and then play together. It's really, really cool, and I think it'll make a great pick. Next up is Cascadia. This is sort of a build your own national park game where you take turns drafting tiles out of a bag and adding them to your national park. You're essentially trying to build a park that has enough room for all of the various animals to live in harmony together. So you have things like salmon and bears and elk and a couple of different kinds of birds, and they all have their own different scoring methods and placement values. So it's really a tile placement strategy game that's played uh, against each other, in that you're trying to score the most points, but you're not really competing against each other. You're not harming each other. You're not engaging in direct player to player combat or competition. It's really each person trying to build the best national park that fulfills the most scoring requirements from the various scoring cards, which again are all animal centric. So it's a really pretty game. Again, it's really simple to pick up and play. The games individually don't last that long. So if you're like me and you kind of would rather just dive into a game and figure it out by playing it, and then ultimately you want to play again as soon as you finish playing because now you kind of know what you're doing, this is the kind of game that you're going to really enjoy because you can just hop into that first round, get it knocked out, figure out kind of how the game works, how the scoring works, and then play again where you really know what you're doing and feel like you can actually do it. This has won a ton of awards, rightfully so. And again, it's simple, it's beautiful. You get to hang out with animals. I mean, more or less. So Cascadia is a great game, and I think you'll really enjoy playing it at our January game nights. Pitch Storm is the party game I'm bringing to January game nights, and that's because it's Oscars season. The Oscar nominations have dropped. We're all thinking about the movies that we saw last year that we like, and Pitch Storm is a party game all about making movies. This is in the same vein as something like Cards Against Humanity or Apples to Apples, or if you came to our December game nights and played any rounds of That's Dope, it's like that. Each player has to get a character card and a plot card, and then they have to pitch a movie to whoever is the judge of the round, which in this case plays the role of a studio executive. And so maybe you'll get like a train engine, and the plot is has to learn how to fit in high school, right? So you'll say, okay, so this is, a movie about train school where train engines learn how to be good trains. So they have to learn about like math for the train schedules, and they have to do like gym class to learn to pull more car. Again, you're just kind of making up, and then you're creating a plot about how this one train engine feels left out, blah, blah, blah. You're pitching the movie, right? The person who is the studio executive has a bunch of cards in their hand that are the most outrageous and silly studio notes that you can imagine. And so at some point during your 60-second pitch, they're going to stop the timer, your little sand timer, and they're going to say, whoa, 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 love where you're going with this. I think it has really some potential. And then they play one of their studio note cards into your pitch. And it could be something like it's all set in outer space. And so they'll say, yeah, I love this, but what if we tried setting this movie in outer space? And then they restart the timer. And for the rest of the pitch, you have to pivot your movie to fit into their ridiculous studio note. And I cannot overemphasize how ridiculous the notes are. So this is not really a game of strategy. It's really just a game about who can make the most outrageous and silly pitches possible. In addition to the base game, I'm bringing a couple of the expansions that are particularly appropriate for January. One is the animation pack, so it adds a bunch of like animation movie themed ideas. And then the other one is, of course, awards season, because it is Oscars time. And so we're going to try to make some good Oscar baity type of movies. There's some other little expansions like creature features or rom-coms that, spoiler alert, are probably going to show up in future months themed game nights. But I really think that you're going to enjoy playing Pitch Storm. It's a great warm-up game, a great way to get everyone laughing together because, you know, again, it's just incredibly silly and fun. And if, like me, you really enjoy movies, it's kind of fun to see some of the behind the scenes about how these silly movies get made. So look forward to Pitch Storm. I know that winter is not really racing season, but we're all looking for a little bit of extra warmth, and so I thought it would be fun to introduce one of my all-time favorite games in January. It's called Heat, and as you can tell from the box, this is a car racing game. Now, I know that may not sound super fun to you, but I assure you this game is amazing. It is a hand management game. So you have a bunch of cards in your hand that represent how fast you can go. 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 5. And if you play one of those cards, that's how many spaces you get to move. The gear that your car is in determines how many cards you have to play. So if you're in first gear, you only get to play one card. If you're in third or fourth, you have to play 3 or 4 respectively. And that's it. You're basically racing around the track turn by turn. This game is very simple to pick up, and it is a really good time. Somehow it manages to capture the feeling of racing around a track, hurtling around corners at breakneck speed, trying your best not to spin out, and pushing your car to the absolute limit so you can beat all of the other racers without, spinning out and having to slow way down. This game is a blast. It'll play up to 7 players, and it goes really quickly. Plus, most of the play is simultaneous, so there's not a lot of downtime while you're waiting for other people to play. It's really cool. It's got enough strategy to keep it interesting, and you're not rolling dice, so it's less luck dependent than you might imagine. Heat Pedal to the Metal, again, one of my all-time favorite games, and I think you will absolutely love playing it at our January game nights. Last up is another one of my all-time favorite games. It's called The Thing: Infection at Outpost 31. And yes, this is based on the 1982 classic horror film The Thing, which is set in Antarctica in December. And it is about an alien that can look like anything, including dogs and people. And it gets into the outpost, and the people in the outpost have no idea who is a thing and who is not. So yes, this is a hidden identity game. If you played the Hollywood 1947 game at our December game nights, you've seen these, or if you played something like Avalon or Secret Hitler, secret identity or hidden identity games. The fun thing about The Thing is that this is also a board game. So yeah, you're rolling dice, you're exploring, you're trying to complete missions all together, and you don't know who secretly the thing is. There are 3 phases to the game, and in each phase, it's possible that more people in your party get infected. The things all have their own secret agenda, and they don't necessarily know who each other are. So if I start out as the thing, but you become the thing, like say in round 3, we're not necessarily going to know that each other are on a team unless I, biff it really hard and make it really obvious that I'm the thing. So this game plays pretty quickly. There's a little bit of a learning curve, but it's really not bad. And it's largely cooperative, except for the fact that you can't trust anyone else. It's really, really fun. It always results in lots of laughs and shouts of betrayal and things like that. And if you've seen The Thing from 1982, I think it really captures the paranoia of that film really well, but in a nice, safe, fun package for a board game night. So this plays up to 8, and it is best with a full table. So I hope we can pack a bunch of people around the table and play The Thing together. Well, there you have it. Those are the featured games for our January game night. Don't forget, we're also going to have a player's choice game that members of our Patreon can select. We also, for this month, have our first ever barbecue and board games night, which is again open to our Patreon members first, and then there will be tickets available after that. So that will have a completely different curated list of games, and it will be a private event. So if you want more information on that, make sure you're signed up for our newsletter or, of course, a member of our Patreon. If you're not any of those, hey, that's okay. We're still going to have multiple game nights in January featuring these games that I cannot wait to introduce you to and play with you. Make sure you check the events website to see all of those. There's links below for all of that, and I cannot wait to see you in January. In the meantime, make sure you're subscribed to this channel, make sure you're signed up for our email list, and let us know in the comments which of the games you are most looking forward to playing. See you soon.